What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you for watching. You picked a good one to tune into today because this is going to be a wrist breaker hand cannon showdown, and we're going to be comparing two of the hardest hitting, heaviest weight handguns I've ever owned and see if we can get a clear winner. So first up, we have the reigning, defending, undisputed champion, the Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum, and we're going to be comparing it with the newest addition to the family, the Magnum Research BFR 4570 T-Rex pistol. Now, I just got the 4570 a couple weeks ago, and I uploaded the first video last week. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. But as soon as I shot that thing for the very first time, and one round in particular, it got me thinking, could the T-Rex pistol pass the 500 Magnum as the ultimate hand cannon that I own? Now, for those of you that don't know, the 500 Magnum is one of the most powerful production handgun cartridges in the world, and the 4570 is not a handgun cartridge, it's a rifle cartridge, and when you shoot it out of a handgun, you can definitely tell it is extremely powerful. So, 4570 T-Rex pistol versus the Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum, which handgun will reign supreme? Let's find out. All right, these are the two monsters that we're gonna be shooting today. I must be a glutton for punishment because this is gonna be a really bad day for my hand. So first up, we have the Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. This thing has reigned supreme for the last couple years as the most powerful handgun I own, and we're gonna attempt to overthrow it with this bad boy, the brand new 4570 T-Rex pistol, and see if it can take the lead and become the new most powerful handgun. And the metrics we're using, unfortunately for me, is how much recoil does it have and how painful is it to shoot, which is an important requirement for a hand cannon. And then we'll see how much damage they do to targets and how much penetration they get, which is probably what's most important. So we're just gonna blow through some ammo really quick out of both of these guns, and then we'll move on to our penetration tests. I love penetration tests. So we'll go ahead and start with the 4570 T-Rex pistol, since I think the 500 Magnum is gonna be the more painful of the two. At least that's my guess. And I shot most of these last week, so we're just gonna go through them really quickly. First up, we have the 405 grain Remington core lock. This is a low pressure 4570 and the softest shooting 4570 that I have. So let's do it. Not too bad. Next up, we have the 300 grain Federal Fusion. Now we're getting into the real 4570s, and there's quite a big jump in recoil. One thing I noticed in the last video is it does not translate on camera just how intense that recoil is. It looks like I'm handling it really well, when in reality, I'm terrified every time. So let's see how the Federal Fusion feels. Yeah. A lot more powerful. Next up, we have the 325 grain Hornady FTX. These are a big step up. They're much louder, have a lot more recoil, and put off a humongous fireball. So let's send it. God, I love it. If you want some entertainment, watch my face in the slow-mo cameras as I'm taking these shots. I look like a terrified idiot. All right, here it is. This is really what this video comes down to, because this is the only 4570 that I feel like compares to the most powerful 500 Magnum. So this is the 460 grain plus P hard cast Grizzly, and it is a handful, almost more than I can hang on to. Let's go for it. I told you guys I was not gonna shoot this one again, and here we are less than a week later, and I'm punishing myself again. So if I miss the target, there will be no do-overs. It's just too painful. Ah, I hate it. I hate it. God, I hit the target. There is absolutely nothing fun about that whatsoever. So I just wanted to show you guys really quick, the first 3 bullets that we shot left regular marks on the steel, nothing special, and then that hard cast Grizzly down there on the bottom right looks completely different. The bullet splatter, the impact, just everything about it, you can tell it's definitely in its own league. So let's do some real damage to my wrist and get out the 500 Magnum, because I have a feeling it's gonna be even worse. And really quick, before we start shooting this beast, I just wanted to show you guys one more time what these look like side by side. They feel almost identical in weight, although the 4570 does have an optic on it, and it's also a much longer handgun. I actually think the 500 Magnum is probably the sexier gun out of the two. It's more curvy, and I like curvy. I also like that the cylinder comes out on the 500 Magnum, whereas with the T-Rex pistol, you have to load and eject shells one at a time. So they're both nice, but I do think I like the 500 Magnum a little bit more. All right, 500 Magnum time. I want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Whisper Tactical, because most of this 500 Magnum ammo that I have was sent to me by him last summer, and I obviously really appreciate that. So first up, we have an interesting round. This is the 425 grain low recoil hollow point, and these things feel like 9mm, which is kind of incredible coming out of a 500 Magnum. So we'll shoot this first and then move on to the wrist breakers. That was a lot more recoil than I remember. Not sure if that was the same round. So a lot of these are hand loads, and I realize you get inconsistent powder loads, but I almost feel like that was a completely different round because that was way more recoil than I remember. So either way, next up, we have the 300 grain Hornady FTX. This is almost identical to the Hornady that we just shot out of the 4570. A little bit lighter, but I'm curious to see what the recoil difference is. Missed the target. That had less recoil than the low recoil that I just shot. So that first one had to have been a mistake, but almost identical to the 4570 FTX, which is what I was curious to see. So kind of interesting. So far, it's a tie in terms of recoil. Next up, we have the 500 grain Hornady XTP, and this is where I think the 500 Magnum is gonna start taking the lead in terms of recoil, because none of our 4570s were over 460 grain, and most of the 500 Magnums are, so. Let's go for it. 500 grains. Yeah. All right, well, we're starting to see what makes the 500 Magnum kind of in a league of its own. That did not have more muzzle flip than the 460 grain 4570, but it was more painful. There's something about the 500 Magnum. I don't know if it's the design of the grip or what, but it just beats the palm of your hand, unlike any other gun I've shot. So I would say it did not have more recoil, but it was more painful, if that makes sense. Well, we did a hard cast bullet out of the T-Rex pistol, so let's go ahead and do one out of the 500 Magnum. This is the 440 grain hard cast Underwood, and if I remember correctly, these are pretty stout, so see if we can actually hit the target. Barely. So already I can confidently say that the 500 Magnum is gonna win the recoil test. It just feels like you're containing a much bigger explosion in your hands than you are with the 4570. I don't know if it's the way the guns are designed or the ammo we're using or what, but this is certainly more painful to shoot, and we're not even up to the most powerful ammo yet. Well, I've got some more 500 Magnum ammo, but we're just gonna go ahead and skip straight to the big dog. This is the 700 grain T-Rex 500 Magnum, and these are absolutely absurd. It's kind of ironic that this is called the T-Rex bullet and the 4570 is the T-Rex pistol. Maybe we've got the names backwards, but I don't shoot these very often because I absolutely despise it, and my hands usually sore for 2 weeks after, and I'm not even exaggerating. So let's see if we can hit the target. Oh, that is terrible. Well, I realize it's not necessarily a fair comparison because that's a 700 grain bullet, and for the 4570 we only are able to go up to 460. But as far as I'm aware, there's nothing for the 4570 that even comes close to the 700 grain 500 Magnum, and I feel like I just got punched in the face. That is brutal. Woo! All right, so this is what we're gonna do for our penetration test. I actually wanted to get the big 5-gallon water jugs, but they were completely sold out of them, and all they had were 1 gallon. So I said, give me 10 cases, and that's what we got. I have completely filled this table with 1 gallon water jugs. I believe it is 12 deep and 3 wide, so 36 total. And then in the front, I've actually put 2 layers of ceramic tile, because believe it or not, I don't think this would be enough water to stop either one of these bullets, but with the hard front layer, I'm thinking it might give us a better chance. And they say the body is 90% water, so let's see which of these 2 guns will win the penetration test. And for the penetration test, we'll go ahead and start with the 4570 T-Rex pistol, since it is probably the less powerful of the 2, as crazy as that is to say. And of course, for this one, we're using the 460 grain plus P hard cast Grizzly. So I'm hoping that these bullets go straight and they don't dip down or go out one of the sides, and we can actually see how many water jugs it goes through. 2 ceramic tiles and 36 1-gallon water jugs. Let me know in the comments if you think we'll actually be able to stop this bullet. I'm kind of leaning towards no, honestly, but I hope I'm wrong. Let's see. That is painful. So obviously it just completely destroyed that ceramic tile, and it looks like our first water jug actually stayed put, and you can see right where that bullet went in. So pretty much dead center on the first water jug, and just obviously obliterated it, and then it almost immediately started kind of turning to the right. So number 2, number 3, and then it looks like this is where it kind of went into this right side of water jugs. You can see the hole right there on top. So not only is it going to the right, but it's kind of curving up a little bit as well. And then we have some bullet fragments right there on the table. Just 3 or 4 little ones, nothing big, but the bullet did break apart a little bit. And then number 5, we have a hole right there towards the top. Number 6, and it looks like number 7 is the last water jug that we actually have a hole in, and this is the reason why I love having the new slow-mo camera. So in total, we have 9 destroyed water jugs from the 4570, and on the slow-mo camera, you can actually see when the bullet hits that 10th jug, it kind of bounces off and goes to the left, which tells me it probably didn't have enough left on it to get into that 10th jug. So although we didn't capture the bullet and stop it, we still kind of got an answer, and 9 water jugs is a number we're going with, because I'm definitely not doing it over. All right, 9 water jugs is the number to beat, and I realize if we were able to keep that bullet perfectly straight, it might have actually went through more. I'm not really sure, and we only get 1 crack at it. So next up, we have the 500 Magnum, and for this one, unfortunately, we have to use the 700 grain T-Rex. So will it go through more than 9 water jugs? Put your guesses in the comments. Thank God this is the last time I have to shoot this one today. Wish me luck. That sucks. Well, we got a lot more water splashed back at us, that's for sure. Let's go count them so I can go home and ice my hand. Okay, well, it looks like we were actually able to keep that one much more straight going through these water jugs. So let's go ahead and start counting them. I would say this is number 1. Surprisingly, we only have 2 on the ground, maybe 3. Yeah, there's 1 way back there. But just these 2 on the ground, and neither one of them look like they have holes in them. So that bullet might have went perfectly straight. There's number 1. It's obviously got some ceramic tile in it and a humongous hole. Number 2 or 3, I'm not really sure. Hopefully the bullet didn't curve and go downward. So you can see there, the hole on that one is up pretty high. So I would say it did not dip down. That's number 3. Number 4, same thing. Bullet is pretty high. Exit hole's not very big. And then see our entrance and exit holes on that one. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Number 6, same thing. It's just still go. These water jugs are not like obliterated, but the bullet is just still going. There's a bullet fragment right there in between those 2 water jugs, and there it is. Our bullet stopped in the bottom of that jug. So this is water jug number 7, and there is that monstrous 500 Magnum right there on the bottom of it. Let's dump it out. And there it is, the 700 grain T-Rex 500 Magnum that I pulled out of the 7th water jug. That might be the biggest bullet I've ever recovered. I mean, 700 grains is up there with a 50 BMG, and it literally feels like I'm holding a golf ball. That is incredible. All right, well, the first thing I'll say is I am shocked that I was able to recover either one of these bullets, honestly. We pulled that 500 Magnum out of the 7th water jug, and we had 9 destroyed in total from the 4570. So actually, pretty similar result in terms of penetration. The 500 Magnum did look like it hit way harder and also did more collateral damage. I got splashed with water all the way back at the camera. So I'll give them a tie for the penetration test, but the 500 easily wins the wrist breaker test. It is much more painful. All right, guys, there you have it. Hope you all enjoyed the video of the 500 Magnum versus the 4570 T-Rex pistol. As soon as I got that 4570, I wanted to do this video because I was instantly curious which one is actually more powerful. And I would say the 500 is a little more powerful, especially if you use the right ammo, but there's just something about the way it's designed. You take all that recoil right into the palm of your hand. The 4570 feels like it flips, you know, almost as much, if not more, but it doesn't hurt the hand as bad. So there's something to say for that. I'm gonna go ice my wrist. Again, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know down in the comments below. As always, hit that like button for me, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.